man, you will not believe the hectic morning I've had. But you know what? There's something magical about sharing these dawn moments with all of you, even when I'm running on pure coffee and chaos.
And that's exactly why we're here, to turn that chaos into clarity. Welcome to Blue Mountain Morning, everyone. It's Thursday, March 13th, and like my slightly unhinged friend here, we're ready to help you find your center in today's whirlwind of news.
Slightly unhinged? I prefer enthusiastically caffeinated, thank you very much. But seriously, folks, grab your morning brew and let's dive into this beautiful mess of a day together.
That's our Alex, turning madness into magic since day one. We've got quite a show lined up for you today, friends. Let's dive into today's horizon, where we're seeing some significant developments in immigration and economic policy that are reshaping our national landscape.
Oh man, these numbers are wild. The Guardian's reporting that immigration enforcement made more arrests in the first 22 days of February than any month in the past 7 years. That's a lot of people, Mark.
It certainly is, and it's putting considerable strain on our enforcement infrastructure. But that's not the only major story we're tracking. President Trump has just announced plans for additional tariffs, building on his recent steel and aluminum import taxes.
Wait. Didn't the EU and Canada already say they're going to hit back for the first round? This is like economic ping pong.
Exactly. Canada has announced retaliatory tariffs on nearly 30 billion Canadian dollars worth of U.S. imports, and the EU is preparing its own countermeasures for next month.
Is anyone else getting 2018 trade war flashbacks? Because I'm definitely getting flashbacks.
The situation is particularly complex given the ongoing federal workforce reductions. There's reporting from Reuters indicating that these mass layoffs are actually slowing down the government's ability to permit new energy projects.
Oh, the irony. The drill baby drill agenda hitting a bureaucratic roadblock because there's nobody left to process the paperwork?
It's a perfect example of unintended consequences. State officials and lawmakers are raising concerns about the practical implications of these staffing cuts. We're seeing impacts across multiple agencies, with today being the deadline for departments to submit plans for a second wave of layoffs.
Mark, I've got to ask, what does this mean for the average American? Because between trade wars and government reshuffling, it feels like we're juggling chainsaws here.
The immediate effects might be subtle, but the ripple effects could touch everything from consumer prices to government services. The key is to stay informed without getting overwhelmed by these developments.
Which is exactly why we're here, turning that fire hose of news into something actually drinkable, right?
Well put, Alex, though maybe we should work on your metaphors a bit. You know, there's this fascinating shift happening in the American workplace that really caught my attention recently. They're calling it the silent career movement.
Oh God, please tell me this isn't another thing like quiet quitting where everyone's going to panic about millennials ruining everything again.
Actually, it's quite different. We're seeing young professionals actively choosing to step away from the traditional corporate ladder climb. They're not being quiet about it. They're being intentional.
Wait, so people are just choosing not to get promoted? In this economy? Are they insane?
It's more nuanced than that. These professionals are prioritizing flexibility, work-life balance, and overall well-being over titles and corner offices. They're redefining what success looks like.
But what about money? Don't we all need, money to live?
Interestingly, many are finding ways to maintain or even increase their income through freelancing, consulting, or taking on specialized roles that don't necessarily come with management responsibilities.
Okay, but what happens when everyone decides they don't want to be the boss? Who's going to run things?
That's exactly the challenge businesses are grappling with. We're seeing companies having to completely reimagine their leadership pipelines. Some are creating new career tracks that offer growth without traditional management responsibilities.
Like what? Give me an example because I'm struggling to picture this.
Think about technical specialists who can advance and earn more without having to manage teams, or project leads who work horizontally across organizations rather than vertically. Companies like Google and Microsoft have had these tracks for years.
But, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, isn't this kind of selfish? Like, someone's got to do the hard work of running things, right?
It's forcing a really interesting conversation about what leadership actually means in today's workplace. Maybe we don't need as many layers of management as we thought. Maybe distributed leadership models work better for modern organizations.
I've got to admit, the idea of never having to do another performance review is pretty appealing.
The really fascinating part is how this might reshape American business culture. We're seeing companies experiment with 4-day work weeks, remote-first policies, and results-only work environments.
But Mark, what about all those CEOs demanding everyone get back to the office?
That's where it gets interesting. Companies that resist this trend are starting to lose talent to more flexible competitors. It's creating a real divide in corporate America.
So basically, adapt or die. That's pretty intense.
More like adapt or struggle to attract and retain top talent. The power dynamic has shifted, and young professionals are voting with their feet, or rather their laptop location.
My brain is kind of exploding right now. You're telling me the entire way we think about careers is just changing?
Exactly. And it's not just affecting individuals. It's reshaping everything from office design to benefit packages to how we measure productivity. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about work in America. As we wrap up our main segments today, I want to share a simple thought. When you're walking outside today, pause for a moment and listen to the sounds of life happening around you. The rustling leaves, distant conversations, even the quiet hum of the city.
You know what? Sometimes the most profound moments are found in these simple pauses between all the chaos.
And in those quiet moments, remember, you're exactly where you need to be right now. Well, friends, that brings us to the end of another morning together on Blue Mountain Morning.
And hey, if you're loving our little morning chats as much as we are, why not spread the calm? Share us with someone who could use a moment of peace in their morning routine.
Absolutely. And if you do share the show, shoot us an email at bluemountainmorningpodcast@gmail.com. We love giving shout-outs to
Our amazing podcast sharing warriors. That's what I'm calling them now.
Until tomorrow morning, this is Mark,
And Alex.
wishing you a day filled with clarity and calm.